Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here, Ghostbusters, the board game. Now, as you can see from the box lid here, it's actually based on the cartoon version of Ghostbusters, which I was kind of let down about that. I wanted to see, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis and all those guys, and I wanted to see those guys, so I was kind of let down that it was a cartoon version, but it's okay. No worries. It's still a Ghostbusters themed game, which I was always a pretty good fan of Ghostbusters, so I was excited to see it. Let's take a look at how it plays, and we'll come back afterwards. The action sequence on the turn is pretty simple. The round sequence goes something to this effect. There will be a Ghostbuster turn where each of the Ghostbusters takes their turn, and within that turn, each Ghostbuster can perform 2 actions. But this scenario, since we start on level 19, with 19 experience points, which is actually level 4, that's going to give us an extra action point. So in this specific scenario, we're going to start the game with 3 actions instead of just 2. So each Ghostbuster will take his 3 actions, and then we would resolve any end of round effects, and then after that we would roll the event die and see what happens as far as any of these gates spawning new ghosts. Now, as far as what things you can do on your turn, a Ghostbuster can move, which allows him to move 1 to 2 spaces on the board. Diagonal movement is also okay as well, so that's no problem as well either. If a Ghostbuster is inside Ecto 1, you can drive Ecto 1 around, and that allows him to move 6 spaces for 1 move action if he's inside the car. Or he can deposit trapped ghosts, or he can remove slime from an adjacent Ghostbusters, or he can perform combat, which is where he will be taking his streams and trying to wrap them around ghosts in order to try to trap them. Alright, so the ghosts that we're going to be dealing with in this scenario are, first of all, the class 1s, which are galloping ghouls. And these cards have all the information on them that we need in order to play them correctly. Now, the Ghostbusters also have special abilities of their own, and it's determined by what level they are on. So right now, with this specific scenario, we're starting in level 4. One of the time restraint parts of the game is the spirit world. Whenever there is no ghosts in the spirit world, when one needs to be added to the board, then the game is over and the Ghostbusters have lost. But so that's one of the reasons why when you trap a ghost, you have to go return it. It's needful for you to go back and return it to the spirit world using Ecto 1, because that's keeping the game from ending. All right, so as we begin here, you randomly determine or just appoint someone to go first. We're just going to go ahead and say Vinkman is going to go first. He's kind of the leader of the group anyway, or at least the charismatic one. So he's going to go first, and he can first of all take an action to maneuver out of the Ecto 1. That doesn't take an action, but he can step outside. And so then, once he steps outside, he sees this level 1 little galloping ghoul right in front of him. So he's going to try to put a stream on him. So he's going to perform a combat action for his first action. And he rolls a 1. Now, when we miss a class 1, it moves 2 spaces in a random direction. So now we have to take this and roll that die. It's a 3. So he goes off to the corner, 2 spaces. So 1, 2. Again, these barriers do not do anything. So he moves 2 spaces in a random direction. And so now he sees this other one over here. And so he's going to try to get a stream on that. That's a class 2, however, so we need a 4 or higher. So that's a 5. So he is able to get him. Now, this one does have a hit ability. It says it moves 1 space towards that Ghostbuster, so he's going to move 1 that direction. He has 1 more action left. He's going to try to close the deal on that level 2. So, and he misses. And what that does now is it moves again. It moves 1 space toward that Ghostbuster, which means it would go here. Vinkman gets slimed, which gives him 1 victory point, which we'll take care of in just a few moments. But then he continues moving until he is in an empty space. So here. Now, when he moves over Ecto 1, he also slimes everybody else in Ecto 1. And then he moves one space in a random direction. So we will take the randomizer here. And that is a 6. And so he'll move 1 that way. That takes this guy out of line of sight. And so this stream actually goes away. But Vingman does get 1 victory, 1 experience point for being slimed. So that's a good thing. So that was his third action, which caused all of that movement and bad stuff. So now he's actually done. So now we're going to go on to Stance. Stance is going to go ahead and move, do his guy for free. So once during your turn, you can remove a slime from yourself for free. So we're going to do that for free. He's going to take an action. He's going to take 2 actions, as a matter of fact, to remove slime from both of these guys that are still in there so that they can get their full range of actions, which gets him 2 victory points. I'm sorry, experience points. And then he's going to step out, and we're going to try to trap that class 1 that's right there. Now, line of sight is important to note right here. Line of sight is determined by drawing a straight line from any corner of your hex to any corner of the target hex. And if you can do that without crossing any of these orange or red or yellow boundary lines, then you have line of sight. Okay? So we're trying to get that class 1 right there, and it takes a 3 to hit, so we roll the 5. So that is most definitely a hit. That takes him and puts him on here like that. Now, if there were any adjacent Ghostbusters to him when he got trapped, he would have slimed them. There were not, so it's okay. Since he is standing next to, and it's a free maneuver to do so, he's going to transfer that ghost back into him. And he also gets 1 experience point for that stream. We're going to go ahead and go to Spengler. Spengler is going to step out of the car, and he's going to try to trap that level 2 guy right there. It's a 4 or higher. Okay, so that's 1. And now he's going to, for a second action, try again. And that's a 3. Actually, we're going to re-roll. See if that helps. It does. Okay, so all that actually goes away. That stream was still there, and a second one gets added. Then he actually didn't get that. So had to backtrack a little bit because I forgot Spengler's special ability is that he can re-roll failed to hit rolls. So he actually did make it on that second shot, which then takes that and puts it in here, but he's just going to take that free action of depositing it back into the spirit world so we can keep the spirit world nice and full. Zetamore, and he's going to come out. Then he's going to move 1 over there, and he's going to try to put some streams on that gate. Now, gates right now have to have a 3 to hit, and they have to have 3 streams to close. So we're going to try to hit it. Now, if we miss, a ghost from that gate will appear. So we have to be careful with this, but we're going to go ahead and give it our best shot. So 3 or higher. So that is a stream that is hit. So stream goes on there. And then the second action, sorry, this will be the third action, is a 5. So that is a second stream that is placed on there. And that gives Zetamore 2 experience points. Spengler should have gotten 2 as well because of the streams that he put onto that ghost and trapping the ghost. Okay. So that is all of their actions. One thing I forgot to do is that Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was supposed to move 1 toward the nearest person. So 1 and then 2. That would have pushed him back like so. And then 3, that would have pushed them back again. Now, what we're going to do is the end of round. So what we're going to do is we have to generate and see which one of these gates is going to generate anything. And if they do, we go ahead and roll the directional die, the random direction die at the same time to see which spot they would spawn in. So we roll both. So the circle gate, this one right here, is going to generate a level 1 ghost at the 2 spot. So here's the gate, so it generates right there. And that's all that happens for the event die. Now, had we rolled the chaos die, the chaos end of it, then every nearby ghost would have went into a frenzy and moved toward the nearest Ghostbuster. So that's a pretty nasty die to roll if you're in an area, if your Ghostbusters are in an area that have a lot of active ghosts. Otherwise, if we would have rolled a closed gate, for example, the plus or the wavy line guy, then each ghost would move 1 space toward the nearest Ghostbuster and then remove the lowest class ghost from here, which would, again, this is what's keeping the game going, giving us the ability to win. So if that happens, that's still kind of bad. All right, so that's the end of the round. We now go to the next round, and Venkman is the first person. He has 1 action, a -1 action. He's been slimed once, so he only actually has 2 actions, but he's going to try to use that to the best of his ability. And we're going to go ahead and try to hit that gate right there. So we need a 3 or higher, and we roll a 5. So that last gate, boom, is closed. So we don't have to worry about ghosts coming out there anymore, but that does mean that there's a greater chance of one of these guys going away next round. So that gives him 1 experience point there, and then he has 1 more thing that he can do, and so he'll move just 2 spaces. Like that. I'm sorry. No, he doesn't have... Yes, just 1 more thing because he has that 1 action. So he only did 2 things. He shot, and then he moved. So next, Stance is going to go. He does not have any slime on him. So he's going to try to target this guy right here. And we're going to do that with a 4 or higher. So that's a hit. So that stream gets placed on that ghost. He's going to try again. And that's a 6. That's an automatic hit. So, but when it was hit the first time, it would move 1 space toward him. And then the second time, he is trapped, and it simply gets moved to the character card. And Stance gets 2 experience points for doing that. So now we continue with the game. And basically, with this specific scenario, what we're trying to do is knock down these last 2 gates. So these guys are going to have to move into the direction of 1 or 2. It might be better if you stay together. But generally, we're trying to shut down both of the gates while avoiding Mr. Stay Puft here. And then once the gates are shut down, all of the ghosts would go away. And then it is all about trapping Mr. Stay Puft. And that's pretty much how the game is played. Let's talk about our final thoughts. So that's how you play Ghostbusters. It's a very simple, very light game. Not a whole lot of decision making involved. Just a lot of dice chucking and a lot of moving around and just hoping that the dice rolls work out for you. That's pretty much all that there is. Use of your special abilities as Ghostbusters, though, is of paramount importance. If you forget about those special powers, you will probably find yourself fighting a losing battle, because those special abilities are what help you do better throughout the game. Just relying upon dice is foolish at best. Making sure that you're staying on top of the ghosts' special abilities and their situational abilities when they get hit or when they get trapped or when they're missed. You have to stay on top of those just to keep your integrity going. So those are things that you have to keep track of. Making sure, especially with this scenario, that Stay Puft does what it's supposed to do after every Ghostbuster turn, something that I messed up on during the playthrough. It's very easy to do that because there are a lot of things going on in the game, which is strange because even though there's a lot going on, there are very few decisions that you have to make, at least in my opinion, because it's pretty straightforward. If there's a ghost nearby, I'm going to shoot the ghost. If there's a gate nearby that's still open, I'm going to shoot the gate. So that's really all that you have to do. Keeping slime off of yourself and off of your buddies is also very important because you only have 3 actions to go with. So when you start losing those actions, you are in serious trouble. So keeping the slime off of your buddies and yourself is very, very important. Make sure you're doing that. All in all, I thought it was a thematic, even if it's a thematic experience, even if it isn't a very enriching experience. I would say that this is a really good family game that adults can play with their kids and have a good time with their kids. Beyond that, however, there just isn't a whole lot of replayability with it because even the campaigns that each have 4 different scenarios, you're pretty much doing the same thing every single game that you play, and that would probably get old after a while. So as far as gameplay is concerned, I don't see a whole lot of replayability, especially if you get to the point where you've played through all of the campaigns and then you've also played through the extra 3 scenarios. What am I going to do now? Well, let's go back through the campaigns, but we've already done those. So there is some replayability, but again, because of the sameness that I think each game is going to have with it, I think the replayability is going to take a real hit. As far as the models are concerned, the little miniatures that come, while I'm a fan of these little translucent guys, unfortunately they suffered from looking very similar on the board. And that was very difficult sometimes, especially between the level 2s and the level 3s. If you're just looking down at them, it's kind of hard to tell the difference. But when you get them up face to face, oh yeah, it's a level 2, that's a level 3, no problem. But when you're sitting in your chair looking down on the board, at first glance, it's not completely evident which one you're looking at. Here's my overall thoughts. It's a very, very, very light game with very few choices to make. It is good for a family situation, a gateway family situation. I think they did the intellectual property well in that respect, and that I think their target audience is probably kids, probably families, and that's a good thing. I think they did well there. Beyond that, however, with adults and gaming nights at game stores and stuff like that, I don't know how much life this one's going to have in it. I have seen people playing it at our game nights, and they said that they did enjoy it, so there is that. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Myself personally, though, I don't see it having legs in the older groups. But with the younger groups and in family situations, I think this would be a good pick. So overall, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 because I do see its merit in a family situation, but no higher than a 6 because I just don't think it has legs. But that is Ghostbusters, the board game, and we'll see you on the flip side.